Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever you are. My name is William Schwerin. I work at the Graduate Admissions Office for the Viterbi School of Engineering here at USC. I want to welcome you to our newly admitted student webinar for Computer Science Master's admitted students. Congratulations on your admission. I'm really joined today by kind of an all-star team here within the CS department. I'm so thankful that everyone here can join. We have a couple of our outstanding academic advisors for computer science, Erica and Daisy, and then our featured speaker, our faculty, Dr. Medvidovich, who will be speaking here shortly. We also have some of our current master's students in computer science who will share their experience at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started since here in Los Angeles, it is 9 o'clock. So you've joined today to learn more about USC and specifically the program that you were admitted to, the department that you were admitted to in computer science. So we really hope that we're able to answer a lot of questions that you may have today. Throughout the course of the webinar, should you have any questions, please do feel free to ask in the Q&A portion of your Zoom window. We've all been using Zoom now for years, so hopefully you know where the Q&A icon is. Please feel free to ask questions in there. So you've been admitted to USC and specifically the Viterbi School of Engineering. So thinking ahead in advance on the next couple months, you have a decision to make, and obviously we admitted you and hope that you choose to enroll here, but we want to provide you with some information to arm yourself in helping make a better decision. So some items to consider about the engineering school, and I want to take a quick step back because I do want to point out that here at USC, we are a private institution. We are on the semester system. So those of you who are already on the semester system understand how that works. If you're on the quarter system, the semester system is really a little bit longer in terms of there are two main semesters, a fall semester and a spring semester every academic year. They're about 15 to 16 weeks long per semester. Okay. So within the engineering school, and at USC, some factors to consider. Obviously, location. We are located in Los Angeles. We're a top research institution, one of, I'd say, three to four really top research institutions. So there's a cluster of fantastic schools in the Los Angeles region, USC being one. Obviously, there's Caltech, UCLA, and UC Irvine as well. So these are all really great research institutions that help just kind of, I think, bring up the region here. And in terms of specifically USC, what we really value here, the Trojan Network. I can't kind of overstate that enough. When you're automatically are enrolled into a network once you are a Viterbi graduate engineering student and you're part of this Viterbi Grad Student Association, you join LinkedIn, put USC on your LinkedIn profile. We have our career center here within the engineering school that teaches you kind of how to network with fellow Trojans and Trojans in industry. And then our faculty as well are very well connected. So you'll hear throughout this presentation and just kind of your time at USC, the Trojan Network. And I think that is one of the value adds kind of that we have that as a USC student, you have access to. In addition to that, let me go to some of our facts that you can read here. One thing that's not listed here in terms of our student population. So I think one of the unique things about USC, we have about 47,000 total students here. We have slightly more graduate students than undergrads, actually. So we have about 25,000 total graduate students at the university. Now, within the engineering school, it's similar in the sense that we have more students pursuing their graduate education, master's and PhD, than undergrads. We have about between 6,000 to 7,000 graduate students. about 1,000 PhD students, and then about 2,000 undergraduate students. So our graduate student population here within the engineering school is very healthy and strong. We have applicants from all over the world. And then there you see some of our other statistics that are provided. I do want to mention this on the bottom right. 83% of our students are on campus. We do have an online program as well, which is mainly for working professionals in industry who are taking a course every semester, a course or two every semester to earn their degree. Typically, it takes them a little bit longer, but our on-campus students, I believe, really do benefit from this online program that we have because the way that our classrooms are set up, they're what we call technology enhanced, and it allows for the live stream. They're not pre-recorded lectures. It allows for the live stream to our online students. Now, as a student who is an on-campus student here, these lectures get recorded and archived for the rest of the semester onto the server, and you actually have access to the recording. So you can go to a class, really sit down and try to absorb the information, not have to stress to take notes, and then you can go back and watch the lecture at any time throughout the semester. And it becomes a really valuable study tool that we're able to offer our students. So Los Angeles region, as I mentioned earlier, with the cluster of research institutions in the area, is also a global hub for innovation. Because of our location. Here you see a lot of the really popular tech companies have set up offices down in the area that we exist in. And, I don't have to name any of these, but I will point out two of our research institutions, which are really in the middle of all these innovative companies, our Information Sciences Institute and our Institute for Creative Technologies as well. And obviously, computer science has a lot of influence in those two research centers. So, going back to career information, you might be thinking about the next step after what this degree is going to allow you to, I guess, what this degree after you graduate is going to allow you to pursue in terms of career. What we do in our career center is survey our students who are graduating, and we ask them to let us know where they're working. Based on their responses, we upload this information and compile this data onto our website. And there you can see the information for our Career Center in terms of just how active they are. It's a really great resource that we have for students. They put on a number of events, workshops, and we publish this data from the survey onto our program pages. So you can go to the Computer Science Master's Degree Program page on our website, click on Career Outcomes, and you can see the survey response data that we have there. So the Career Connections office within the engineering school is very active and a resource for our students. So some next steps, you're attending one of our virtual admitted student events, which is great. Speak to our student ambassadors. We have student ambassadors that will be speaking at the end of this webinar, but we also have an online portal where you can chat with student ambassadors as well. So highly encourage you on a peer-to-peer level. They've been in your shoes where they've had to make a decision. Maybe were admitted to a number of institutions and ultimately chose to enroll at USC. Anything else from housing, maybe how they're funding, things like that are all great questions to ask our student ambassadors. But also try to learn more about the community and additional resources and any number of student organizations that we have here on campus. There's something to do for everyone in Los Angeles, and then we have a number, hundreds and hundreds of student organizations here on campus as well. So before I pass it off, most of you have a deadline to submit or decide whether to enroll of April 15th. Okay, if you log on to your USC portal and select the program that you were admitted into, you'll see the deadline to enroll. For most of you, it is April 15th. After you submit your statement of intent, for any international students, you can request your I-20 to initiate the visa process. You'll get access to pre-orientation resources. Um, we have a mentorship program that our student engagement office will email about, which is for incoming students to be paired with mentors, so current graduate students, just to kind of help them along the way in getting acclimated to Los Angeles and to USC. You can connect again with your department. I believe the department will have a webinar or two, or they'll be definitely sending emails to you during the summer, and look into more housing options. So with that, I do want to pass it off to our featured speaker, the professor and chair of the computer science department, Professor Medividovich. I'll go ahead and stop sharing now and allow you to share.
Great. Let me do this. All right. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen, and I'm going to go into presentation mode. Um, how is that? Can you see that?
Yes, looks good.
Excellent. Okay. So, good morning, everybody. Well, good morning to those of you who are in a similar time zone. Um, Good afternoon, good evening to others, quite possibly. I am Nenad Medvedovic. I'm a professor in the Thomas Lord Department of Computer Science, the department to which you applied, and I'm also department chair. I have been at USC for over 27 years. I have seen both the university and the department grow and flourish over this time. The one thing that did not change is that statue of Tommy Trojan is exactly the way it was when I got here. I have been department chair for almost 4 years at this point. If everything goes according to plan, I should be chair for another couple of years. So you all will get a chance to meet me. Um, the other thing I should mention is if you have any questions, I know that there are lots of resources that you have. If something in particular is a burning issue or you feel like you're not getting all the answers that you're hoping to get, always feel free to send me an email. I'll try to answer it directly. More often than not, we have student advisors who are way more knowledgeable than I am. So I will probably ask them for advice and or ask them to answer on my behalf. But my policy is that not a single email ever gets ignored, so I will stick to that. Okay, so very briefly, I'll give you a quick introduction of the university and of the department. I know for many of you, you may have seen things about USC online, but otherwise, you might not be as familiar with it. And same thing about the computer science department. In fact, in my recent conversations about people from the university, from other places, other divisions, I have been surprised a couple of times at how little people actually know about the CS department. So I'll tell you about it in a minute. I'll tell you about the master's program, and then we'll talk about academic advising. And of course, we have two of our academic advisors who are in charge of the master's program and working with master's students present, so they'll be able to answer questions as well. So, as far as USC goes, it's the oldest private university in the western portion of the US. It was founded in 1880. So we just celebrated our 145th birthday last year. In a couple of years, it's going to be 150. The university has close to 50,000 students for a private university that's very large. And the other thing that's interesting about USC is the breakdown is about 21,000 undergraduates and close to 29,000 graduate students. So there are more grad students than undergrads at USC. It has over 4,700 full-time faculty. So these would be people who teach classes and conduct research and so forth. Our population is incredibly diverse, as is our city. You will likely meet somebody from pretty much any place on earth just walking down the campus. This is who I am. This is a quote that I was asked to provide a couple of years ago. It is a diverse, dynamic department. We are working on cutting edge things all the time. And as you get more familiar with USC, you'll learn that some of the stuff that you hear about in the news has originated. Some of the technologies and ideas and algorithms and techniques and research advances actually have originated at USC and sometimes in the classroom in the context of a class project, believe it or not. Um, the department has been part of the Viterbi School of Engineering. The School of Engineering was named about 22 years ago by Andrew Viterbi, or he was named after Andrew Viterbi, who is a USC graduate and a famous computer engineer who was one of the founders of Qualcomm. And about 3 years ago, about slightly over 2.5, actually, to be more precise, the department itself also got named the Thomas Lord Department of Computer Science. It was named after a gentleman who started a foundation after he built a successful business. For those of you who might be interested in who Thomas Lord was, he came before the computing revolution of the 1960s, 70s, 80s that has continued to today. Thomas Lord was an engineer, though. He was the first person who figured out how to bind rubber to metal. And as you might imagine, during the Second World War, that idea and that solution became very important. So he formed a business and built a very successful enterprise and eventually formed a nonprofit foundation where the foundation was donating money to major universities around the country. Eventually, the department both the school and the department actually got a donation from the Lord Foundation, and the department was named the Thomas Lord Department of Computer Science in 2023. Right now, we have over 90 full-time faculty. We have 6 members of the National Academy of Engineering, 2 members of the National Academy of Sciences. We have one Turing Award winner, Len Edelman. Turing Award, you probably already know this, but I was just going to mention it. It's the highest award a computer scientist can receive. And these numbers, $34 million and $19 million, that's something that's probably sounding pretty abstract to you. But what that means is that, for example, if you get involved in a research project, more likely than not, you'll be working on one of the projects that have been funded by various government and industry organizations to the tune of these amounts. By the numbers, we have a very large department. In fact, we're the largest department on campus. So when I mentioned a couple of minutes ago how I've recently spoken to a couple of people from around campus who know about computer science, of course, because everybody knows about computer science, they had no idea that the Thomas Lord Department is as large as it is. We have about 2,300 plus MS Computer Science students, and we have another close to 800 MS Data Science students. On top of that, we also have 1,300 undergraduate students and on the order of about 400 doctoral students. As you might imagine, especially with doctoral students, that number fluctuates because unlike undergraduate and master's students who graduate either in the fall or in the spring, because it's sometimes you can do it in the summer, I suppose, but overwhelmingly in the fall or the spring, PhD students can graduate and leave and get jobs pretty much at any time after they defend their dissertations. At any rate, this is about almost 5,000 students, so it's the size of a small university, in fact. And our department, so USC has 23 different schools. The School of Engineering is one of them. Our department is larger than over half of the schools at USC. There are 3 different kinds of faculty. For most of you, this is really not going to be something that's going to be obvious or relevant to you. but just to mention it, we have tenured and tenure track faculty. These are people who do both teaching and research. We have teaching faculty who specialize and focus on teaching almost exclusively. And then we have research faculty who focus on research primarily, although occasionally they will also teach classes. Most of our research faculty reside at the two institutes that are about 15 miles, give or take, to the west from campus, the Information Sciences Institute and the Institute for Creative Technologies. And again, even though they're geographically not on campus, many of our students work with research faculty as well, and they're fully integrated into the department. As I already mentioned, the department was named in 2023, so slightly under 3 years ago. In that photo, you can see me all the way on the left. Excuse me, all the way on the right is Gaurav Sakatme, who used to be our department chair. He is now the director of the School for Advanced Computing that the department is a part of. And he's also the executive vice dean of the Viterbi School of Engineering, which is the outer school for us. So we have two different schools. The School of Advanced Computing is the school that we're a part of most immediately, and then both the department and the School of Advanced Computing are part of the Viterbi School of Engineering. Um, and the School of Advanced Computing was also launched within the last 3 years or so. And the building that you will spend a lot of your time in the new Ginsburg Hall of Human-Centric Computation, which is pictured there on the left. That building was also something that came online relatively recently. It was, we moved in. It was, there was a ribbon cutting ceremony and the building was officially opened in the fall of 2024. So the building itself is less than 2 years old as well. And when you walk through it, it's not only a beautiful space, but you actually still very much feel and almost smell the newness of the building itself. This is what the building looks like from the outside. It's quite beautiful. It is a combination of this very kind of open and airy glass facade along with USC's more traditional brick facade. So if you haven't been on campus, soon enough you'll get to see it. It's quite something. Before that, given that we were a very large department, we didn't really have a building on campus that was large to house all of us. So we were distributed across a number of buildings across the campus. And as you might imagine, that was not ideal. So fall of 2024, when we moved into Ginsburg, also was a watershed moment for the department itself. And we really are enjoying our new digs. Okay, so the MS in computer science programs, basically there are three specializations along with a general track. All of them are 32 units. For a typical student, that basically means you can finish in 4 semesters if you take 2 classes per semester. Each class is 4 units, so you take typically 2 classes per semester, and 4 semesters in, you have your degree. The general track has one required class and then 28 units of approved electives. The three specializations also are 32 units: artificial intelligence, data science, and game development. As I already mentioned, there is also a data science program that we have. So we, in fact, have two different data science degrees. There is the computer science with a specialization in data science degree, which is the one that's shown on this slide. And then there is a degree in applied data science. That's a separate degree and a different degree, and we'll talk about that separately. Um, you can change your specializations if you meet certain requirements after your first semester, and you have to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher, which is also something that's important for graduating in the first place. So it is not an onerous requirement. And we do have some number of students who do, in fact, change their specializations because they discover that their interests have changed, or for a variety of other reasons. They feel that they might get a better job, or their job prospects might improve, and so forth. Um, there is a Master's of Science in CS, Scientists and Engineers specialization. That's a different one. That one has 37 units, so it requires a larger number of units than the other specializations, simply because this is a degree that's designed to cater to people who have undergraduate degrees in engineering or science. So somebody, for example, with an undergraduate degree in civil engineering or physics, for example, they have a limited background in computer science. So we designed this degree to allow them to quickly pick up the basics, and then they can, after they ramp up, they can take some of the more challenging, at least from the perspective of somebody who has not had CS before, more challenging classes that the rest of the CS students have to take as well. Once you enter this specialization, you're not allowed to change out of it for obvious reasons, because this is, again, specifically geared to students who have not had a background in their bachelor studies in computer science. Um, you can, in fact, take directed research. Directed research has different flavors. The sanctioned part of it is you can take a maximum of 2 units towards your degree. And this is for CS, CI students. Data science students cannot take directed research toward their degree. So that would basically mean that you take 30 units of classes, and then you take 2 units of directed research to total your 32 units. Now, you can do research beyond this, but it cannot be applied towards your degree. And we actually have had a history of our master students who have had strong research performance, and who have published, etc. And clearly, the 2 units would not be able to account for that. So this is something where they did it kind of on the side on their own time, in addition to the classes that they took, because either a topic interested them or they felt like they could sometimes improve upon the state of the art in a field. I've had students who have, as part of class projects for the classes that I've taught in the past at the master's level, done really cool things that in a handful of situations we parlayed into publications. In one instance, it became part of a patent. And in 3 or 4 cases, the students decided that they really enjoy the research part of kind of the university experience, and decided to apply for a PhD program after completing their master's. And this is just my experience. You can multiply that by uh, hundreds of different faculty that have passed through the department in the past almost 30 years. So you could imagine that this happens with some regularity. Um, the other thing to keep in mind is that historically, USC has ranked very high as a feeder school for Silicon Valley. It's something that we take a lot of pride in. We drill our students pretty seriously. These are not going to be easy classes, but you're going to learn a lot and you're going to enjoy it. And I can also tell you that as department chair, I've had direct interactions with the department's advisory board. And in fact, I have also um, asked a couple of people to join the advisory board, because, as you might imagine, after a while, these people rotate off because they have day jobs. These are people who are successful entrepreneurs, engineers, company leaders, etc., in industry. Most of them in Silicon Valley, some of them in, as you might imagine, Washington, where Microsoft is, and now where AWS, Amazon Web Services, has a significant footprint, etc. But regardless, these people are overwhelmingly graduates of our computer science or computer engineering master's programs. 1 or 2 have PhDs. The rest of them are master students, and they have become incredibly successful and have reached VP or senior VP positions in their respective companies. So And they're incredibly knowledgeable, and I learn a lot from them. And in return, I hope that I'm able to impart some of those lessons learned on the department so that our students also benefit from it. So at this point, we're switching over to the academic advising part, and I will let Erica and Daisy take over. Erica, do you want to? I can unshare, and then you can pop up your set of slides. That way, you can drive. Give me just a second here.
I think I should show my slides now. Thank you, Nino.
Excellent.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Kim. I'm one of the MS advisors for the Computer Science and Data Science Department. It's nice to virtually meet you all. I am joined by my colleague, Daisy. And in this portion of the webinar, we're just going to go over what is academic advising as well as our team. So our team, we are a small but mighty team. We're led by Steve Pham, who is our Senior Associate Director. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us today, but he is definitely rooting for all of you and excited to help you all as you join us during the fall semester. And basically, academic advising is a very important part of your academic journey. Our team is here to help students understand their degree requirements, university policies, and understand their progress towards degree completion. So, this working relationship is pivotal to your academic success. Our team can be reached at the specific emails that are listed on this slide. So since this is for all of our CS admins, you can reach us at the first email. And during the typical semesters, we offer one-on-one advisement meetings as well as drop-in sessions so that students can utilize and take advantage of any meetings with us. And if there are any questions that we cannot answer or it's not our expertise, then we can always connect you to our campus partners. But yeah, we look forward to working with you. And then we are going to pivot into the Q&A session with our student ambassadors. So we're going to enter that right now. We have 3 today. And if they could turn their cameras on, that would be awesome. So we're joined by 3 student ambassadors that are current students at USC pursuing the MS Computer Science programs. So if you 3 can just share your name, your program, hometown, and why you chose USC, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm Chelsea. My hometown is London. I'm in my second year of the USC MSCS program and in my final semester.
Um, I could go next. My name is Aster. I'm from San Francisco, California. I'm currently a first year master's student, but I'm in the AI specialization. Why I chose USC was that I grew up in the Bay, so I really got the opportunity. I wanted to take the opportunity to live in LA, among many other things. Oh.
Hi everyone, my name is Retta. I'm from the Woodlands, Texas, but I was born and raised in France also. Um, why I chose, I'm in my first years of master's too, second semester. And why I chose USC, I think it's definitely the fact that it's a top research institution. I really wanted to be near professors that were working on cutting edge projects. So
Thanks for sharing. So it sounds like we have a good mix of students who are pursuing the general track as well as a specialization. Aster, sorry for just calling you out right away, but do you mind sharing what you enjoy about pursuing the AI specialization compared to the general track?
Yeah, I can answer that. So compared to the general track, the AI specialization has a more direct course catalog that you have to take. There's more required classes, whereas I feel the general track has more options for electives. But I kind of really like that. It gives me direction, it gives me a game plan, as well as the classes that someone with an AI specialization take are very, very highly um, relevant to what I want to study, what I want to go into in the future, into the future. And people with a specialization get a little higher priority when it comes to picking classes to ensure that you do get all your AI deep learning classes that you want to take. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing. So, Aster did kind of dabble into that a little bit about course registration. So, typically, for all of our incoming students during your first semester, you are provided a set of courses where they're pre-assigned to you. They're recommended that you take specifically for your programs to ensure that you're taking degree applicable courses. But as you register for future semesters, you do kind of participate in our just regular registration process where you have to request the courses. And when we do provide clearance, it is kind of based on priorities such as, is the course a requirement for a program? So for students like Aster who are in the CSAI track, they would get priority for the CSAI courses that are required. But that doesn't mean like just because you're in general, you don't get priority as well. We consider things such as is a student in their like final semester, how many units they have completed and whatnot. So everyone does get an equal chance of enrolling in courses. We just want to make sure that you're enrolling in degree applicable courses. Another question I did have for the entire panel was, what are your classes like and how demanding or different did you find the coursework compared to your undergraduate studies?
I can maybe go first. That's okay. Yeah. So I'm taking two classes. I'm taking one that's geospatial data analysis. It's a class where we learn about like everything that powers Google Maps, Apple Maps, etc. And I really enjoyed that class. It's one of the classes I just mentioned earlier, how I loved like cutting edge stuff. It's one of the classes where the professor talks about all the algorithms he built with his students, etc. And that's actually being used in industry. And then the second class I'm taking is machine learning for data science. Because what I like about the CS degree here is that you could actually take an elective for something else. And I wanted to see machine learning on the data science side. And both classes have been treating me pretty well. I'll definitely say, in comparison to undergrad, the workload, it's like a different dynamic. I wouldn't say it's more work or less work, but it's completely different. So in undergrad, for example, you'll take like 6 classes per semester, or 3 and 3 if you're a trimester student. And the problem is that like in grad school, you say that you take 2 classes and you think it's super easy and compared to 6 classes, but I can't put like words on it, but it's definitely different. There's definitely something in the sauce. The homeworks are a little bit harder, etc. So yeah, that's my experience.
Thank you, Retta. Aster or Chelsea, did you want to add anything?
I was replying to a question in the chat, so I didn't actually hear what the question was. Could you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. So the question was, what are the classes like for your programs and how demanding did you find the coursework compared to the undergraduate studies?
I definitely think that it depends on the classes you take. I'm not sure if Rita mentioned this already, but it really, really does depend. There are some classes that are very, very coursework heavy. Some that are like very, like every single week you have homeworks that are due, and they take quite a long time. But then there are some that are more like project based, and maybe if you're fast at doing projects, then that requires less of your time. Just have a really good understanding of what your strengths are and what you think you're going to spend more time on when you read the syllabus. You can also talk to past students and like current students as well for their input, and then balance those really demanding classes with lighter classes is my recommendation for that.
Thank you. Another question that incoming students typically have, interest in is how can students get involved in or connected to industry during their studies?
I can answer a part of that question. So during my first 2 semesters at USC, Um, I used USC's career platform Handshake to sign up for many like presentations like held by industry, including like Adobe, I think SpaceX and Boeing, among many other companies. These opportunities really helped me to kind of meet people from industry or at least like learn about it, because these types of companies come to USC specifically, like either telling us about our internship program or they come to recruit specifically USC Viterbi students, which has been really helpful. And like after all these events, like you can talk to the panelists. So that has been really fun for me.
Thank you. I also wanted to add that as part of our department, we occasionally receive promotional requests from just like research labs or just even previous partners asking us to promote research opportunities to our MS student population. So that is something that we always try to promote for our students so that they can get as many opportunities as possible. So that's one other option as well. And then we always promote our students to utilize the resources available by Viterbi Career Connections. They are the in-house career center for engineering students specifically. So you have both the USC Career Center, which is the general career center, as well as the USC Viterbi Career Connections. So both are amazing resources that our students can utilize. Another question I have is, I guess it's a bit more personal, but what do you like to do for fun in LA?
I think this is for me is completely not related to academics, but I play a lot of badminton. So actually LA has a pretty decent sphere for that. And I definitely recommend it to people who are interested. It's
Thank
good to
you.
balance those studies with something that's like physical and keeps you healthy.
I think for me, I kind of discovered like the LA like cafe scene. Since I only have classes 2 to 3 times a week, my friends and I go to like Koreatown or downtown to study at cafes like very, very often. And it's very cute. It's very more specifically LA thing, which I found. In addition, I've kind of went around. I've been to like Joshua Tree and the other national parks around LA, which has been very, very awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely mention the cafes. I think it's definitely one of the biggest thing. Arguably, I think LA is probably the capital of matcha in America, so I feel like the matcha in LA is really, really good. Also, if you're big into running or hiking, etc., I think they definitely have some of the best trails. I run a lot, and there's the Hollywood Reservoir, which is like super packed with runners, etc., and you can meet a lot of people. And there's a lot of trail everywhere, and even around campus, you have a lot of places you can run. And other than that, I'd say the clubs also. There's the run club too, and there's pickleball. I'm really into pickleball and tennis, so those two things are also there. So that's why, yeah, that's what I do for fun.
Thank you all for sharing. Just like you guys mentioned, I feel like LA is one of those like rare places where we can really kind of experience the four seasons minus the snow, unless you go to like Big Bear and whatnot. But there's so much to do. Even across the street from us, there's the Expo line that can take you to like Little Tokyo or even to Santa Monica. So it is very accessible, and there's just so many fun events, not even just outside of school, but on campus as well. We have a lot of events that are open to both undergraduate and graduate students that everyone's welcome to join. We also have a farmers market every Wednesday during the semesters. I definitely recommend the pupusas, so definitely try that out. And then just a few questions to prepare our incoming students. What do you wish you would have known on your first day of classes?
I can answer first for this one. I think something I was not prepared for was what Retta mentioned earlier about how like, oh, you only take 2 classes per semester. You think it's gonna be so easy, so much time. And it definitely was a lot more work than I expected, but um, it was like the type of challenging work, which I did enjoy it. Um, but it's definitely doable. I think I just wasn't ready to balance my time like that, especially moving to a new location and all. So what I would do better, like on my first day, would be to organize my time better, like plan better, when it comes to like my classes and coursework, as well as like hang out with friends, in the LA area, like since I just moved here. So.
If I could
Um,
just jump in for a second. I think Reda, you wanted to say something. I have to jump to another meeting at 9:45. So it was great to virtually meet everybody. Sorry that I can't see your faces. And to Erica, Daisy, Reda, Aster, and Chelsea, thank you so much for doing this. And everybody who is on the 111 count of participants. As I already mentioned, my email address is easy to find. You can always shoot me an email and we'll pick it up from there. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nino.
thank you.
Bye.
So yeah, I was about to jump in and say, so when I came at USC, I think I was really, really internship driven and career driven, to the point where I wasn't like taking the time to enjoy my classes or enjoy being a student, etc. So the biggest thing I tell myself is that the opportunities will be there, in due time. And I don't need to obsess over it and like make it my whole life and personality. So I think if I could go back, I'd tell that to myself. And yeah, just take a chill pill, enjoy classes, go get matcha with my friends, etc., and then apply for internships.
I think for me, the thing that I realistically want to tell myself is to do some more research into the classes that you'll be taking in your first semester. As someone who had a bit of a gap between undergrad and grad school, I wasn't used to being in that like student position again. And especially moving countries where we have a different academic system, it was really difficult for me to adjust in the first semester. And I took two of like the hardest classes that you could take in the first semester, which was not a good choice. So definitely I would recommend everyone please like do some research, look up the classes. You don't have to take everything on at the first during the first semester, especially if you're an international student. That's a pretty critical time to get used to living in the US and also start looking for internships as well, stuff like that. So definitely have a think about that before you register and think, oh yeah, I did great in my undergrad, so I'll be fine. Don't make that same mistake that I did.
Thank you all for all of your advice for the students. Like, it's always great to hear the student experience on this, especially as, we're providing the input from like the academic advisor side while you guys are in the actual classroom. So I do hope that everyone that's in this webinar today, finds it beneficial as well as they decide to join us during the fall semester. We are going to pivot and transition to the Q&A session to answer some of the questions from the attendees. So I believe there are several questions related to like scholarships and just housing and certifying. So if our colleagues from the Viterbi Graduate Admissions Office wanted to kind of answer those.
Yeah, we'll be going through some of the Q&A and answering some of the questions that come in. I'll go through some of these ones that are currently still open to see if any are relevant for the larger audience.
Thank you. And then there were some questions specifically about just electives and graduate transfer credit and whatnot. So for the graduate transfer credit process, it is a multi-step process where you have to go through a few action steps with several offices. So once you are certified and you decide to attend USC, then you will have to go through the prior degree verification process with the registrar's office. That is just basically confirming that you have a bachelor's degree. And once you complete that, you do request that they generate a graduate transfer credit report for you. And if there are any courses listed there, then you follow up with our MS advisement team, the team that's on this call right now, asking for us to evaluate those courses. And if faculty deem that the courses are relevant to our program, meets our rigor and our expectations, then those courses may be eligible for graduate transfer credit. But one thing I would always like to remind students is that graduate transfer credit isn't always guaranteed. So when you do, start the program, you should anticipate to start the traditional 32 units or 37 for the scientists and engineers track. And then for the scientists and engineers track, you cannot waive or transfer in the preparatory requirement, which is CSI 455X, nor can you waive or transfer in the foundational requirements, which is CSI 402 and EE 450 or EE 457. Another question we have is preparing for the scientists and engineers program, specifically like math related. There isn't really additional preparation you should be doing. The first semester, you do take CSI 455X, which is the preparatory programming requirement. And then if you kind of want to hone up on your math skills, I know a lot of students kind of do like a refresher on just like their calculus and their statistics and discrete math. So you may want to do that, but it's not a requirement for you to do that. But yeah, the first semester is focused on CSI 455X.
Erica, if I can jump in really quick, there's some questions about the scholarships and students who applied by the December 15th deadline. I won't be specific. That's for Viterbi specific scholarships that our graduate admissions office hands out. Those have all been disseminated and awarded. So for those asking about those, if you have not received information, unfortunately, have not been selected to receive that award. But I don't want to discourage anyone from continuing to look for additional scholarships, whether it be at the university level or simply someone suggested or recommended, and I think it's a really good recommendation, stack scholarships. You can look for the big ones, 10, 20,000, but look for the small ones, $200, $500 here and there. Enter some of your info into ChatGPT and have it search scholarships that fit your criteria for you, and then start stacking scholarships as well. So that's an update on scholarships. And if I could jump in and ask the student panelists, I'm curious because we did have a question about housing. It's always a popular question. If any of my students, Retta asked her, Chelsea, if you wouldn't mind answering, I'm curious how you went about finding housing, coming from overseas or from the Bay Area, if you could answer based on your experience, how that worked out for you.
I think for me, I started off with the USC housing portal, just to explore my options. But I actually met my current flatmates through that portal, and they were able to visit some places in person, which I think is definitely something that is that you should do, or at least get a virtual tour, because sometimes the units that are advertised might be like outdated photos, or maybe there are some changes to the some plans. So definitely, if you can visit in person, or if you can get a video tour or something like that, that would be good. I hear a lot of people find their apartments and housing through apartments.com, and we always advertise, or we always tell students that definitely have a look at the map. USC has a thrift zone, so within a 2 mile, I think, radius of the campus, after 7 p.m., between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m., there are free Lyft rides around campus. So if you have a late class, you can take a Lyft for free back home if you're within that zone. So definitely look for housing within that area. Yeah, it's really helpful. Just, yeah, definitely that's the tips that I have.
For me, it was super straightforward. Housing portal with USC, and then I signed the lease with USC. I'd say the perks of being in USC housing is that everything is accessible with your ID. And if you have issues or anything, the university is always like 24/7 ready to answer and fix any issues you have. And for next year, actually, it was through a friend. I found an apartment studio through a friend. So after that, it's really about just talking to people in your classes and just figuring out like what are they doing for housing, and then once you know what they're doing, you can just copy them or find alternatives.
Great. Thank you so much. One thing I did want to clarify for those of you who maybe haven't been to campus, as I mentioned early on and has been mentioned throughout the course of this presentation, USC is in a large city of Los Angeles. I definitely think that it's a unique campus in that it's not a city campus in the sense where there's city buildings interspersed in between campus buildings. It is very kind of its own community. You're kind of like in a bubble in this big city when you're on the USC campus. And personally, I think that's great because you're amongst everyone you know, you see on campus, is some relation to USC one way or another, whether it be a student, faculty, or staff. Few more minutes. We will continue to answer, and I want to thank everyone, my colleagues and the students and our advisors who have answered a number of the questions that we've had coming in through the Q&A. So we'll continue to do that as well. So if you do have any last minute questions, please do feel free to submit via the Q&A. And I'll just go through and look for some of the questions to see if they pertain to the larger audience.
I saw a few questions asking about AI impact on the industries. And speaking about how the program adapts curriculum, it depends on the professors themselves. Some professors find that maybe they would like you to incorporate AI into your work, but they will specifically tell you the limits of what you can do and can't do. Previously someone asked a question also on do we see that like fundamentals or something is not as important with the introduction of like core code and things like this. But I do find that companies are actually becoming more strict with technical interviews than previously because of the growth of AI. So a lot of unqualified people do apply and then they typically fail within like after they might be able to pass the first round of interviews, like the OAs, because some people do find ways around that. But then once you get to the interviews with people, and a lot of companies are introducing in-person interviews as well, that tends to be around where people have issues with because of over-reliance on AI, and companies are taking that into consideration. So it's definitely still very important to have those fundamentals down. I recently have been doing like some in-person interviews as well, and that's definitely something that like my interviews told me that has been a shift. Companies are now looking to be more strict with that sort of thing. So definitely, even though AI could help you in your workflow, and that has been integrated into the industry in terms of like screening and just overall your eligibility to work, definitely you still need to have those skills, at least in the current market. I see a question as well about as an international student, you don't have to wait for 2 semesters before working on campus jobs. I started working in my first semester, so there will be an on-campus job fair at the beginning of semester. It typically tends to be in the first week of classes or maybe even the week before classes. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And that's where most people find their on-campus jobs.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, Chelsea, thank you for answering that. Where an international student would have to wait go through their first 2 semesters is in order to do CPT, like an internship based on what they're studying. So an on-campus job, though, you do not have to wait. That being said, and out of respect for time for my colleagues and our students, I am going to end this webinar. Thank you so much for joining. All that have joined, our admitted students, congratulations on your admission. We hope to see you in the fall. Our current students, thank you so much for waking up and joining us this morning. And our advisors as well. You guys do an awesome job, and we can't thank you enough. And my fellow colleagues in the graduate admissions office, thank you for answering all of the questions that have come in. We did have a number. I do want to let our admitted students know this webinar has been recorded. We'll send an email to you shortly with the recording available if you want to go back and review it. So without further ado, thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful day. And as we say here at USC, fight on.